So this is my high priestess hat, because I am a high priestess. That's my numerology, and it's a one-of-a-kind hat that was made by this woman who had a company called Cleopatra years ago in Toronto. And in my previous lifetime, when I was a crafts person, I sort of saw it. Always that way. I exchanged it. So I had this hat like since the early '90s, but I used to wear it around. But people used to look at me like I was too weird. So I put it away, and then I took it out and I went, no, this is a high priestess hat. I just wear it when I'm doing, readings, right? Or I go out to events and stuff like that. So, everybody can know I'm about something different, right? So, and I love it because it's like the fool, right? It's like a fool's hat as well with the pom-poms. So it's kind of fun,
There's some teachings about veiling and how we should have our head veiled when we enter into sacred ground. And what we do in terms of our spiritual connections, astrologically or psychically, we are tuning in and we are being a part of the mystic realm, which would put us in a position of sacredness. So depending on your belief, if you believe that you should be veiled or that you should honor in some way, whether it be a hat like that or a hat like that.
Yeah, right, whatever. But, it's not like, I'm going into another realm here. It's a sacred thing, right? And so, that you're kind of wishing out on it.
I'm not always comfortable with hats.
Oh, I'm a hat person. I love hats. So
yeah, and that's okay. I have lots of hats, but just like bras, I can't wait to get them off.
It does make me feel protected. You know what I mean?
I feel protected though. See, I've always had a very sacred room to do my work in.
Right.
When I go into it or wherever space I'm in, there's always sacredness around me. I feel like I'm like walking inside a pyramid, so to speak, and the pyramid's already, my veil.
Right.
So for me, or even when I'm outside, I just don't. I don't actually feel I need that. In fact, I prefer to get naked if it was socially acceptable. And right. I had a nicer body.
That's an old pagan thing. You would always go out naked, right, into the woods and do your ceremonies, and right.
Mrs. Fab said, now we're talking.
So this is more like also because when I went out to events, I needed to protect myself because I used to see it as I'm bringing a sacred thing into a kind of profane thing. So I was very clear about that when I first started. I think that's also what it's about for me,
Yeah. Well, I've been wearing this for over 30 years.
I know.
And I don't take it off very often. If you probably never will see a picture.
Right. Without it.
Yeah. Because I have it on that often. In fact, I think I've only ever taken it off for x-rays.
So this is my thing that I wear all the time. This is a Tuareg, a special kind of a cross, right? And it was given to me by a friend of mine from Morocco, but because I'd also gone across that Sahara Desert years ago, it also had a kind of different meaning for me, but it feels very protective to me.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's just it. As long as you're feeling like you're in the space of you're protected by spirit. I mean, there's lots of reason why people veil, and that's good for them. I think, and as long as you're coming to the space with sacredness of some sort that is meaningful, then I think spirit will know this, whoever spirit might be. All right, but I do see you. I've seen you in your hat. What do you call it?
I call it a high priestess hat. People ask me what it's about, right?
Okay, so when I see you in that, I do get a sense of spiritually connecting.
Yeah.
So just so you know, the few folks that are in the room, I'm kind of waiting on a few more people to come in. But to even tell them what we're going to do or how we're going to do it. But for those few of you that are in the room, if you wouldn't mind sharing the live, if possible, to anyone who might be interested in knowing more about the eclipse season that we are entering into. And my friend here, Tara, is an astrologer who I have, and also a witch, I'll say, because my group of people are very witchy. And I'd like you to know that we are being, myself and Tara are both witches and work with the psychic realm in our own ways. Astrology, tarot, both of us do both of them. But I will say that my friend Tara has spent many more years of study in astrology than I certainly have. I find myself to be more of a backyard astrologer. However, I realized something interesting just recently, that one of the reasons I never chose a particular astrology course to fully engage in, like I've taken different astrology courses over the years from various astrologers, and they've all been wonderful, all been enlightening. All of them have taught me something wonderful. But in the end, I could never choose one, sidereal or Western or whatever. There are a number of different ones. I don't even know them all. But one of the things I realized is that I have my own thinking. Mm-hmm. Even when I'm learning something as traditional as that method or that method, I'm here going, but what about that? And how come you didn't say anything? And how come that's not important? And I'll tell you, it started with no one ever explaining to me why I'm a Leo born in the house of Pisces, and what that actually did or meant. I had to figure it out for myself. No one explained it to me. And also further, I don't always feel like a Leo. I more often feel like a Pisces.
Well, I don't remember your chart off the top of my head, Tamare. I've read your chart for you, right? But, you're not just your sun sign. So I know you're a Leo, and you're a very charismatic kind of Leo, and, Leos are big-hearted and generous and all that. But if you have a lot of Pisces or planets in the 12th house, which is a Piscean area, then that will bring in that energy very strong. The chart.
I have Venus and Uranus in Pisces, in the house of Pisces. Yeah. So I can read a Pisces chart and I go, that's me.
Right.
And I'll read a Leo and go, not exactly.
Well, often if there are more planets in one sign, that will overrule the sun, and traditionally the sun was never considered to be that important. It was your rising sign, actually, and the moon. Yeah. So what people call the big three these days is actually very old, right? And it's called your lot of fortune or your part of fortune. It's a synthesis of the ascendant, the sun, and the moon. So that's, ancient kind of medieval back to Islamic astrology, probably back before then. But the Muslims were really great at all that mathematical formula stuff, right? So your lot of fortune is important to know about.
What?
It's called your lot of fortune.
What do you mean?
Okay, so the Arabs were huge mathematicians, astronomers, and they developed all of these different mathematical formulas. So they combined different parts of the chart. So your sun, your rising sun, and your moon came out to a specific degree in your chart, which they called your lot of fortune. And I like to call it the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So it's like where that specific degree is where everything comes together. So it's really important to know that. And even modern astrology uses that. So if you went to astro.com to do your free chart, or AstroSeek, or whatever one you use, it shows up as a little circle with a square in it. So it looks like a medicine wheel, actually. So that's your lot or your part of fortune. So it's important to know where that is. Right?
So how do you know that? How do you find that?
No, anytime. It's a common thing. It's like part of the standard astrology chart, right? So, for example, I've got the chart here of the eclipse, which we're going to talk about. The sun, the moon, and the rising sign for a specific location, is at a specific degree. You can, when you go to astro.com, you just write in your birth date. It's free. I mean, I like to use that one because it's Swiss. It's one of the oldest ones. And it'll show this circle with a square in it. And it shows you it's called your part of fortune. They call it the part of fortune. So it's important to know that because it's like a specific degree. I want to know what planets are affecting that, how my other planets are working with that. It tells you how you can manifest like all the best parts of yourself, actually.
That sounds interesting. We'll have to talk about that another time.
Yeah. I mean, it is something that, it's kind of a basic thing in astrology, but most people don't know about it because you go a deeper level, and there's a million levels in astrology, right?
There is.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. There's so much to learn. And I think I follow this group called, I think it's called Mystic Rebels.
Yeah.
And I like the way they do astrology.
Yeah.
I like the way they think because it's what my natural flow is.
Right.
You know, the way, and of course there's a rebel in there.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but so yeah, we have a season coming up. They call it the eclipse season. Why is that?
Well, because we're going into there's usually 2 eclipses per season every year. So, we went through spring when we had the lunar and the big solar eclipse in April, and now we're going into the fall season, right? So, the first one here, September 17th, is a partial lunar eclipse in Pisces, and then there's going to be another one, October, I believe it's the 2nd in Libra, 10 degrees Libra, October the 2nd, a solar eclipse. And it depends on whether you can see them or not. So, it was such a big deal, big solar eclipse, April the 8th, because it was visible right across North America. And the saying is, if you're right in what they call the shadow of the eclipse, if you can see the whole thing directly, you're affected most powerfully, right? Now, a solar eclipse is different than a lunar eclipse, so maybe we should start
Can you tell me what you think the differences are that we'll see?
Okay, lunar eclipse, like the moon, is super feminine, it's internal, it's receptive, it's emotional, it's a full moon. Lunar eclipses can only occur on full moons, right? So, you're dealing with, yes, the eclipse is in a sun sign, for example, on Tuesday, it is a Pisces lunar eclipse, but the sun is in Virgo. You still have to kind of pay attention to what the sun is doing, right? And so it's more of an internal time. It is never manifest on any eclipses. I got to talk about that right away because there's a lot of pop astrology witches and whatnot that say, oh, you manifest, you do whatever, and traditionally you do not. I mean, traditionally you're not supposed to go outside. You're not supposed to look at an eclipse. You're supposed to keep your head covered. Pregnant women are never supposed to go out under any eclipses. So these are ancient traditions from India, where the whole thing about eclipses and how they're formed and what they mean come from. This is thousands and thousands of years old. So it's a time to go within. It's receptive. It's internal. So whatever sign the eclipse is in, and then the aspects to that eclipse, personally, astrologically, are different for each person.
So we see the Pisces Virgo mix here.
Right. Yeah. So you kind of always have to think about the opposite sign. Right.
Right. But we also have the energy of Pluto going back into Capricorn.
Yes. Yeah. So
Can't be ignored.
No, that cannot be ignored. It's true because Pluto and Neptune are basically 60 degrees apart in the sky, which is an astrological aspect called a sextile. So they're supportive. It's a positive aspect. So and actually they've been in this sextile for a very long time. They keep moving through different signs. They keep being, because they're very slow-moving planets. So Pluto at the very last degree of Capricorn is finishing off what it started since 2008. And my sense is from September the 1st to November the 19th, so Pluto will still be at that last degree in Capricorn for the next solar eclipse. It's like, the demolition of, the big corporate structure, the financial system. You'll see it in your own life that rules the soul, that rules the unconscious, the shadows. You'll see whatever dark stuff kind of has been hidden. Pluto's role is to, he rules the underworld. So it's like a big, breakthrough of the earth. Everything that's been hidden comes up to the surface. You can see it. Sometimes it's not very pretty, but you need to see it so you can deal with it. And Pluto's job is transformation. So,
and then when we mix that with Pisces Virgo.
Right. So, but essentially it is a Pisces lunar eclipse. So Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It is the most spiritual. It is heightened psychic energy. It's very emotional, very intense for people who are sensitive anyway. A Pisces lunar eclipse is going to amp up your psychic sensitivity.
Would you say that this Pluto in Capricorn with the eclipse of Pisces there, wouldn't you say that would be a lot of people going, oh my God, I knew it. I knew it. I knew that was going on. I felt it.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because Pluto's in Capricorn. You got to remember elements, in native tradition, you work with 4 elements, the 4 directions. Astrology is based on those 4 elements too. So Pluto in Capricorn for the last time, for the last 16 years, it's earthy, it's practical. So your gut instinct, you know what I mean? Or what roots you, Capricorn is physical, it's real. So the real, because Pluto does rule that what they call the collective unconscious, and Pisces rules that as well. They're in this very nice kind of, you could call it a symbiotic relationship. They're
right.
supporting each other. And those 2 planets, because they're what they call transpersonal or outer planets, like with Uranus, is also involved in this too, because Uranus is in this positive aspect to Pluto, because it's at 27 Taurus, and also in a positive aspect to this eclipse. They're all like in this kind of 60 degrees apart from that kind of energy, right? Very unusual and very powerful. So these are the big cultural changes. They're like they initiate huge cultural changes in the world. Right?
And would that be Virgo also coming in now to analyze what shoulda, coulda, woulda?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in a lunar eclipse, you really pay attention to the moon, right? But yes, because it's the opposite. The sun is what's part of this, of course. And also the sun and Uranus and Pluto are in what's called a grand Earth trine. It's very earthy. So even it's good because Pisces is really out there. Pisces is connected. It's about oneness. The thing is, we're getting to the end of Pisces. Neptune being in Pisces since 2011. That's a very long time. Neptune will begin to move into Pisces in 2025, and will officially do that. There's a historic date, which is February 20th, 2026, when Neptune and Saturn come together at 0 degrees of Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac.
Won't that cause a problem, though? Saturn and Neptune, they don't like each other.
Well, Saturn's in Pisces right now,
My point, though. And it doesn't really like each other. I think Pisces is more of a mystic, and the Saturn is like, no.
Well, okay, so I don't like to think of it like that. Because it's really about elements. Saturn basically rules Capricorn and Aquarius, which is really important. Saturn is still going to rule Pluto for the next 20 years. It is reality. It's karmic. So this is like on the bigger scale. This is a big karmic reckoning time, right? So Saturn will, force you to deal with the things, the obstacles, the testing, the maturity. You know what I mean? And in Pisces, it's the denial. I don't want to deal with it. The fake news. I don't want to know about it. But the Saturn's going to go, no. You're going to put this in your face until you deal with it. So, and all the addictions and all the projection, you know what I mean? All of those things have been going on. And I think people are like walking around in a big fog because Neptune's been in Pisces for so long. You can barely remember what life was like before 2011. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when Saturn, but the thing is this is a big, long historical cycle. When Saturn and Neptune meet at 0 Aries, they haven't done that in 258 years. Sorry, 158 years. So right at the beginning, it's 1861, the first day the Civil War started, Saturn entered Aries. And it was the beginning, and Neptune entered Aries. And it was the beginning of the whole spiritual movement.
When was that? What year?
1860s. So in the 1860s, like Queen Victoria met a young psychic, the whole Madame Blavatsky, the Theosophy movement, the pre-Raphaelites in art. So everything that Neptune rules is artistic, creative, psychic, spiritual, compassion.
Wasn't Saturn in Neptune? Weren't they also going toe-to-toe in 1912 with the Spanish flu?
No, they haven't been together since the 1860s. Like Saturn moves much faster, right? Neptune moves very slowly. Neptune takes
What were the significant factors in the Spanish flu? Do you remember?
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But the thing for me, what sort of triggered COVID was Saturn and Pluto. But again, they don't meet that often. So again, you're always, okay, we're kind of going all over the place, very Pisces here. Pluto, Pluto is that because it moves so slowly that, I started talking about these outer planets because they move so slow. Like, for example, the 60s was created by Uranus and Pluto coming together at 1718 Virgo. Okay. So you would think about, in a way, this eclipse is kind of opposite that sign. Saturn was at that degree around where it is now. So everything that was kind of initiated, the cultural, sex, drugs, rock and roll, you would think, oh, okay, every time a planet hits a degree, it triggers what happened before. There's like a ghost thing. So it's really important. This is what astrology is all about. You know, you look at what happened in the last cycle and you make predictions based on that. You know, and time is a spiral, right? So it's, you know, not necessarily that the U.S. is going to have another civil war, but there's some kind of a revolution or a, you know what I mean? Break freeing of the old structure.
It's been brewing for 2 years, maybe longer, but for sure, the last 2 years we've witnessed it. We're watching all these mini revolutions taking place.
Yeah. So it's a worldwide thing. It's not just America, right? Of course, right? Yeah. So sometimes, you know, it takes a long time. Like maybe it's really going to take, you know, until Pluto really enters Aquarius, the sign of revolution, the sign of freedom, the sign of, you know, people, you know, working together as one, you know, to topple the hierarchies, and you don't want to have any power over us, and everybody's got a say, and we got to learn to work together. You know, it's a higher consciousness sign. You know, every sign can have a more positive and less positive expression, right? So I never like to think about a certain one is bad. You could, you know, technically you can say one is harder than the other, or one works better, you know, in certain things, right? Like it likes being in certain signs better than others, if you put it that way, right?
So the lunar eclipse starts on the 17th, and the solar eclipse happens when?
October the 2nd.
Right. Okay. So basically what we're looking at is about a month.
Yes.
Of a vibration that will do what? Tell me what you think will happen. Let's start with the overall.
Okay. Go ahead. Well, I was just wanting to talk about the Pisces one here. Because it's Pisces, you know the essential qualities of Pisces. It's it's a full moon. You got to remember that it's a harvest moon. It's, you know, so it's always a culmination, right? So because, you know, again, Neptune's at 28 degrees, almost at the very last degree of the zodiac, which is in itself a very karmic thing, right? Like collectively, everybody's got to deal with their karma, with their addictions, with, you know, illusions. To me, it's like, talk about the high priestess, you know, looking through the veil of illusion. Where have I been deluding myself, or, you know, taking responsibility for that? That's Saturn and Pisces. You know, Saturn is still, you know, close enough to the moon to be part of this as well, you know. So, you know, your dreams will be affected. Really pay attention to your dreams. It's a great time to do dream healing, which is an ancient healing technique from Greece. Working with your dreams, writing them down. Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, and it's in Gemini, so you would write them down or dialogue with them or keep track of them, record them, whatever. So it can be a revelation, you know, in the tarot. You know, it's the card of the moon, right? Pisces is the dark side of the moon, you know, December 18th. So things that are fear, it's a test of faith right now. So we need to believe that there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. You know, because there's so much coming at everybody, and we need to find a place of stillness. You know, I think, again, I want to mention during the lunar eclipse, it's the time to do prayers. The Tibetan Buddhists say that every lunar eclipse, every positive prayer, energy, whatever it is you put out, is magnified 100,000 times.
However, those people that do baneful magic prefer this time.
Well, baneful magic? Yeah. I'd be careful with that. That's all. You know, myself. You know?
I'm not saying that I'm doing that. I'm saying this is a powerful time.
Yes.
And there are some practitioners who like to use this darker time for darker work.
Well, the full moon is more of an outgoing, in a way. You know, there's a bit of a conundrum there. You know what I mean? It is a full moon, right? Whereas a solar eclipse is a new moon, which is more of the dark time, right?
Although it's waxing, although it waxes, unless you're doing the work at the dark of the moon.
Right. But there's still 3 days. You know what I mean? The dark moon usually takes 3 days while the moon is disappeared, right? But on the full moon, it's a completion state. So you want to, you know, the full moon is drawing our the waters of our body or emotions out, you know what I mean? And it will be visible across North America. So if it's clear, it's good to go out with your crystals. It's still you know what I mean? But to only send prayers, I would say, because Pisces is about compassion. You want the world to be a better place. You're going to pray that the whole world becomes enlightened, that there's forgiveness and compassion. We recognize our oneness. That's what Pisces is all about. If you're born a Pisces, you have Pisces planets. It's about knowing that you're never separate. You're never alone. You know, we all are connected. We all come from one source, right? We want to get back to that. You want to pray and you want to forgive so you're not caught up in old resentments and addictions and illusions and projections. And you want to see clearly what WTF is really going on. You know what I mean? For yourself, you need to have the sense of your own. The word that's coming to me is Geiger counter, strangely enough, your own kind of spiritual Geiger counter, you know, so you can tell, you know, what's radioactive, what's not, what's good, you know, you have to get centered. So that's why I say it's more about doing your own spiritual healing on yourself, you know, and again, it's a completion time. You know, this is, you know, the beginning of the North Node, which creates the eclipses, is going to move into Pisces in January 2025. So we're kind of ending this last series of eclipses in Aries Libra, you know, with that axis, right? There's always that axis, and going into, you know, Pisces Virgo.
Yep.
Right. So it's about health, right? And so you could do a nice body scan on your body because you want to use that Virgo Pisces polarity. What's my body telling me? The body never lies, you know. And a lot of emotional healing, you know, Pisces is this kind of mental health, you know, looking at your body, asking your body to give you feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to see what's not visible. I want to know what's going on below the surface. I want to be able to enhance my psychic vision. So working with like the violet ray, you know what I mean? Purple, it's purple, and you know, Pisces works with amethyst or with aquamarine. You want to work with those crystals, those things. It would be good to be near water if you could, or get into a bath during the eclipse. It's going to be a long eclipse. It's going to take place over 4 hours. So you'll have time to really sit for, you know, part or all of it, right?
Might be a good time for dreaming. What time does it start?
It starts around 8:30 in Eastern Daylight Time. It peaks around 10:30.
AM or PM?
Yeah, at night. So it will be visible. So, you know, you have time to kind of begin to see it. And no, again, it won't be a big total, you know, it's not a total lunar eclipse, it's partial. But, you know, it's nice to be under it and really dream into it, really visualize, you know, what is this revealing? You know, like the card of the moon, you know?
That's why I was thinking it'd be nice to do dreaming and to do dream work at that time, especially.
Absolutely.
But I would personally pay more attention to those dreams than I might to the ones yesterday.
Right. Well, you know, eclipse energies start to happen a couple weeks before. So I've seen, you know, a number of people saying start to pay attention, you know, for the last couple of weeks. I've had very vivid kind of dreams for the last couple of weeks. So shadow stuff is going to come up, you know, things that you didn't expect from people are going to come up, you know what I mean? But it's also a good time for creativity. Pisces is this time of the artist and the creative artist, so expressive arts, or get some watercolors and paint, or sing, you know, toning, you know, like vibration. That's Pisces. It's very fine. It's not, you know, it's not substantial. It's dreamy. It's, you know, it's spirit, right? It's a spiritual kind of completion, and so it's time to really let go. Now, eclipses repeat every 18 plus to 19 years. So the last one was August 27th, September 17th, 2006, almost at the same degree. So you want to think back about what was going on in your life then, you know? And before that, August 27th, 1988. So if you were born around that time, you know, this eclipse then becomes a completion of a cycle, right? And, you know, these eclipse cycles go back thousands of years. Some of them last 3,000 years. So it's big, long, historical repeating cycles that are also kind of keep evolving as we go along here, right? So, yeah, So make some art, dreaming, visualization. It's just visualize, but in a way not. It's like the card of the Nine of Cups in the tarot, which I call the wishing card. It's not about wishing stuff for you. It's about, feeling that sense of spiritual, emotional contentment, overflow, joy, happiness. But you're sending that out to the world, right?
Mm-hmm. And letting go and sort of healing.
Yeah, a lot of letting go. A lot of just keep cleansing. It would be a good time to do a cleanse because we're almost at the equinox. So this is like in the northern hemisphere here, this is the last opportunity you have.
I think it's a good time for spiritual baths.
Absolutely.
Spiritual baths and dreaming and journaling.
Yeah.
That type of stuff, I think, is a very good time for that. And doing your own divination for yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe for your family, looking at your karma so you can work through your karma.
Yeah. So, September 22nd is the equinox, right? So we're really kind of, this whole next week is a big week, of major change, right?
And helping us get to the balance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So how do you think it will affect Aries?
Well, okay, so if you're in Aries, Pisces, Eclipse is in your 12th house. So the 12th house, Pisces is the 12th sign. So that's kind of a natural placement. So again, it is about doing that shadow work, the deep unconscious work, working with your spirit guides. Aries is very practical, fiery. It's just the emotional, the intuitive, the ephemeral parts. That's what really influences you to act. You know what I mean? So the more you can learn to listen, it is about tuning into your intuition. It is about enhancing your own psychic nature, right? So for Aries, I think it could be a revelation. It could be a good time to work with addictions. Pisces is about addictions. So it's a good time to go, whoa, wait a minute. The buck stops here. Maybe I better do something about this,
Especially when we're looking at Pluto in Capricorn.
Right. Yes.
That's absolutely. I can see how that influences it as well.
Right, because, even though Saturn is in Pisces, it rules Capricorn. So for all Capricorn, while Saturn is in Pisces, they have to deal with their addictive issues. You see?
Yeah, exactly.
Aquarius too, right? So, all of the planets are kind of working together, to inform us. This is a divine timing. This is the best time to work with these energies. They're benefiting us.
With fall coming, we're coming into that darker season. As of Mabon, we're going to be looking at that fall equinox, people would know it as. But as of that time, then it's just going to be a waning, lesser and lesser of a full day and more of a night.
Right.
Moving into what we call the new year, November 1st, right?
Right. So we're going into the more feminine-dominated time of the year, right?
So this is really a beautiful segue into it.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's a good time to release, really, to go into the equinox in a really clean state. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I love it. And I love how the universe sets it up for us. If only we were paying attention.
Well, that's the point. You have to pay attention, not be out of alignment with it, right? So you want to really...
That's why we're doing this.
Yes.
So that we can remind people. And it's interesting to see. So for Aries, they're going to be looking at things they need to let go of.
Dreams, maybe things that they have regrets about. Pisces can get into that kind of regret. Aries are always like pushing themselves, you know what I mean? So the stuff that maybe you haven't integrated, Aries just kind of push. The Pisces is about integration. And for Aries, this could be a very valuable thing to help them to kind of bring their energy more into balance so they can really move together. Because remember, Saturn and Neptune moving together at 0 Aries, it's going to be like the Aries era in 2026, right? So, which sounds like it's a long way off, but of course it isn't, at all. It's about, 15 months from now or so, right? So,
it's interesting. If my mom's an Aries,
right?
She made the decision yesterday to come back to BC and live with me.
Right.
And that's because she's integrating all that has happened or not happened.
Right.
And she's remembering what she needs. And she's not getting what she needs there. And she did get what she needed here. So she's doing, it's interesting to watch how Aries are moving. So how about Taurus? What do you think we do with
For Taurus, the eclipse is in their 11th house. And the 11th house is traditionally the house of wishes, hopes, and dreams. So for Taurus, which is very practical, you've got Uranus at the last later. So Taurus is born in the last 5 days of Taurus. They're getting that Uranian, I call it the cosmic cattle prod. They don't like change. They're stubborn. They're fixed. You got to change. So this would be a good time for them to network. The 11th house is about networking. It's about revolution. It's about freedom, spiritually freeing yourself up and dreaming. There's this image of Taurus really like huddling down like the ancient cave paintings. You know what I mean? Like somehow it's like Taurus. Taurus was a prime symbol. In the old ancient caves, the 30,000-year-old cave paintings of Taurus and the Pleiades marks on the caves, and so kind of like going back into that cave. Like Pisces is like this big kind of cosmic room as well.
Don't you think, though, that typically speaking, the Taurus is quite stable and we like things the same? And so with this vibration coming in, it's actually an opportunity for them to shake some shit up.
Right.
And say, okay, wait a minute, my dreams aren't actually being made. What do I need to change to make the dreams come?
Right.
I think this is going to give them a really wonderful opportunity to reflect on the things they feel is missing.
Right. And Taurus is an earth sign. It's a feminine sign. So earth and water work together. It's almost like things are going to get muddy. You know what I mean? If Taurus doesn't really work through this. And it also works on their creative side. Taurus is very creative. So it would be a good time to make things with your hands or to start new art projects or really devote yourself to the sacred artist within,
Absolutely. Would you also say, though, that this mystical energy of the Pisces might also influence the Taurus to be more spiritual in what they do?
Right.
Day to day.
Because they get very focused on money and tangible and, all that. And to see a more spiritual quality to that, or to put that as having more value, you know what I mean? Even though it's intangible, I need to give back. It's a good time to do charity work because of this eclipse. So give to some charity, whatever it is you want to give to. That's a good thing to do too.
My sisters are both Tauruses, both of them.
Right.
And one of them, I can see this really relating well to her. Mm-hmm. And so she has a company called Creep You the Funk Out. And she has done some of the spookiest things I've ever seen in my life, recreating stuff. She makes the most amazing voodoo dolls, blah, blah, blah. But she was going through a really dark time. She had cancer. And so when her creativity was expressed, it was all dark because that's where she was at. And over the last year, I've been watching her shift again. And she's coming to me for, tell me about the witchcraft this and what do you think of this and all about witchy stuff. Mm-hmm. And finally yesterday or the day before, she said, well, I'm not really a witch. I said, well, why aren't you? Mm-hmm. And, what determines what a witch is?
Right.
And so we had this long talk, and in the end, she really is a witch. She just kind of hid it because it wasn't mainstream. Right. And she had watched and heard what people would say about me not being, me being a witch, and she didn't like what she heard.
Right.
So she hid it, but just recently, she's becoming more spiritual and more in tune with that part of herself, and I think this is because of this energy.
Oh, yeah. Like that's what I'm saying, that kind of triple, these outer planets working together, it hasn't happened since 551.
Yeah. Is that right?
It's a Pisces. So it's very powerful. It's very important. It's a big cultural shift, right? Mm-hmm. So better to go with that energy than to try to resist it. Like I know Taurus doesn't like change. All the fixed signs, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius is also a fixed sign. They don't really like change. They want to hold on to whatever, Taurus wants to hold on to physical things, and Leo wants to hold on to the passion or the drama, I want to be.
You know what? That's how I knew I wasn't a Leo.
No, you're still a Leo, but it's I'm not a different way.
I actually don't behave.
Right.
Anyways, like a Leo. Like I'm not a stage seeker. Although we're doing this, and when I did Pagan Fest, I hated being on the stage. Right. I had to push myself all the time.
You know what house your son is in? Tamara? I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's in Pisces.
No, your son. Your son is in what house? Do you remember? Oh, see, so that's Pisces like.
That's what I said.
You're a hidden Leo. You're a backstage Leo. I'm the power behind the scenes, right?
It's the truth, and I've always been like that. So when people accuse me of being, this type of Leo, I'm like, no, that's not. It's never been me.
No.
I mean, I'm bold. Don't get me wrong. I'm sad.
No, I can feel your Leo energy. And it's charismatic and it's strong. And
I mean, I have that.
Yeah.
But I'm still way more Pisces than I've ever been Leo.
Right.
And I had to also deal with addictions when I was younger, which is also Piscean.
Yeah.
Right. So, anyways, enough about me. Here's the point I'm getting at, though. I could feel that vibe moving, and I know things are shifting and changing. So what about Gemini? Let's ask. How do you think this is going to hit Gemini? It's going to be in the 10th house?
In the 10th house. So it's all about their career. Now, Geminis are also going through their best year in 12, since May this year until June next year. So they should really max this out. I mean, the planet Jupiter is in your sign. It is the wheel of fortune in the tarot. Jupiter rules the sign of Pisces, too, traditionally. So I like to use both rulerships, modern and traditional. So really, for Geminis, this is your big opportunity to build your dream job. You have to kind of visualize it, you know what I mean? Or ask, what is it I'm really supposed to be doing? How do I contribute? Pisces is about service, like Virgo is. It's like serving spiritually or creatively, right? How do I bring in a more spiritual aspect? Because Geminis are in their heads, and they're like Peter Pan. They never want to grow up. They can't decide what they want. They're intensely curious. So this is a chance for them to really go into their own emotions, right? I mean, every sign is emotional. It's just like they don't work from that, element essentially. You know what I mean? So 10th house. A dream career, a charitable career, something that feels that they can really express their creativity, and kind of get out of their heads so much, right? So I think it's really good for them. And there might be some big revelation. Maybe they've been on the wrong track. Geminis like to try this out. I'll try that out. No, I'm bored. I'll try that. And maybe they really get it. Maybe something will be revealed on this eclipse, like, oh, okay, I can see it, I feel it, I know I have to go in this direction. And it will give them more of a sense of certainty, I would say.
I get a feeling that they're on a roll.
Yeah.
They're going to be on a roll, and it's positive. And we've had a couple of difficult years. I'm going to say, I see Gemini and Taurus both having a couple of pretty harsh years. And I think the crux of the shift is right now for both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. And I'm happy to say, because I do astrology for people every month, and when I come to Taurus and Gemini, I'm like, oh God, I got to find something positive to say, because otherwise you're putting them in a corner, and I feel bad. So I have to say that the shift of energy that's coming right now is almost like a propeller pushing them into something that they have.
You got to remember also, we're going to go into the elements of air. So when Pluto enters Aquarius and then Uranus enters Gemini, starts in 2025, and the outer planets, Jupiter and Saturn, met in air on December 21st, 2020. That's for the next 200 years. We'll be meeting in air.
What does that mean?
Well, okay. It's called the Great Chronocrator. So Jupiter and Saturn meet every 20 years, which used to be a generation. They meet in a certain element for 200 years. And they have one preview where they kind of preview, before we go into the next sign, we'll give you one preview. So, for example, everybody was born in 81, 82, 83. Jupiter and Saturn were in Libra, but up until before that, they were always meeting in, sorry, what was I going to say? They were always meeting in, sorry, I just lost it there. In Earth. They were always meeting.
Wasn't it Earth?
Yeah, in Earth. Yeah, so basically like the Industrial Revolution, go back that many years, started with them meeting in Earth signs, so the exploitation of the Earth. And
which is what we just lived through.
Right, so that era is ended.
Thank God.
And now it's the element of air for the next 200 years.
Well, this is that basically technology and all of that stuff that's untangible, like the stuff that we don't really know how to put it in a box.
Right. So it's space. Air is space. It's breathing. I keep thinking, well, holotropic breath work is going to be the thing to do. You know what I mean? Like the understanding of what the air is, what oxygen is like, and higher consciousness, like air. The winds. You have to think about the winds. The winds of change. So it can be very heady, right? Like we tend to get into our heads. It's intellectual. It's whatever we're thinking, communications, ideas. It's the information age. That's air.
So what planetary energy is moving that? Did you say Uranus was significant?
Well, Uranus rules Aquarius in modern astrology, right? Saturn rules Aquarius traditionally. Uranus is going to move into Gemini. So again, Pluto is going to be an air sign. Uranus, which rules Aquarius, is going to be an air sign Gemini. So this is really going to amp up this airy and all the air signs kind of being in their element, you see?
Couldn't that also stir up problems with air pollution?
Yeah, but it can also bring, again, I think, the idea, because it's an ideas thing, that technology can be used in a very positive way. You got to remember, Aquarius is about social systems, right? It's about higher consciousness. It's about, social ideas, so we can use that technology, Again, traditionally, it's the star. Aquarius is the star card. Mm-hmm. So it's about, again, wishes, hopes, dreams, and about really being higher consciousness. So there can be this big, people want to talk about it going into 5D, 6D, whatever, a revelation, understanding consciousness. What is consciousness? So it could be a big philosophical shift in humanity. You see, quantum physics, that's kind of abstract ideas. It's, you could say mathematics is that too, right? Mm-hmm. So big shift in our understanding of who we are as humans, where we fit in the universe, right?
Well, as far as Gemini goes, this is a really good thing for them. Mm-hmm. It's going to put them on a map if they've been working anywhere around an intellectual project or anything they've been doing like that. It's going to put them on the map.
Yeah, or they want to write, for Geminis, they're communicators, they're writers, they're, juggling all, it's mercurial, right? They're juggling all kinds of new ideas.
Do you think that might motivate, let's say, a Scorpio moon born in the house of Gemini to start writing if they were a Virgo ascendant?
Yeah,
good.
Sure. That's you want to synthesize it all, right? For sure, So, for example, also, I want to mention one more thing. The Pisces eclipse is squaring a 90-degree angle to what's called the galactic center. The galactic center is a really important point. It's the big black hole at the center of our galaxy. So this further amps up. I'm very much attached to the galactic center. That sense of cosmic, wormhole going into different dimensions, really tuning in, really meditating on this lunar eclipse. Mm-hmm. Right? Very important. So you could get all kinds of incredible downloads. Right? Yeah. And I'm going to do a workshop on the eclipse, actually, a live Zoom workshop on that day, when it first starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, to go into that, and to really work with all the elements of the Pisces.
Are you going to do it live on your channel?
I'm going to do a live Zoom. So it's a live Zoom workshop like I've been doing for the last few years. So Cancer. So I just want to get on here. So Cancer, the eclipse is in their 9th house. So it could be a big learning curve. 9th house is the 15th house of education, planning to travel, planning to go back to school, maybe learning some creative tools or getting some kind of teaching in terms of creativity, working for food banks or to help children or giving back to charities. Cancers love to do that anyway. Also working with elders, there's that sense with also Saturn and Pisces that's respecting elders, and taking responsibility for your own, maybe need to nurture too much, because there can be a kind of an addictive smothering, too much mothering, energy in there too. Or, working with what's my dream home, like you're dealing with dreams here, what is it? Or so it could be redecorating your home. Again, it's creative, it's where you live,
What house is Cancer in?
It's in the 9th house. So about education, teaching, travel.
Maybe finally getting them out of the house.
Yeah. Well, they do leave the house, or it could be starting a school from your own house or homeschooling, very literally. It's very literally homeschooling, or becoming a teacher of some kind, or teaching whatever you love to do, your own skills, whether it's cooking.
Yeah, I hear that.
So maybe it's a channel that you have. The ninth house does have to do with information. Maybe it's a TikTok channel, or whatever it is, a YouTube channel, whatever you want to communicate about, because that's the ninth house, is about communications. It's also about social justice. So maybe there's something that you feel I really need to stand up and speak about, or something that's pulling my heart. I want to contribute to the greater good there. That's a ninth house kind of thing, right?
I think it might also stir up some change in the type of things that they're learning.
Right.
So I think a lot of cancers do stay with the same thing over and over. Mm-hmm. Like, let's say they're sewing. They're going to stay with that for years and years. I think the energy that's happening right now will have them stopping the sewing, for instance, and then teach it.
Yeah, well, teaching. Ninth house is a teacher, the philosopher. Yeah, it's also justice, it's about a big learning curve,
Yeah.
So, it could be really opening them up to new ideas, and then working for social justice. There's a sense of standing up and, really, because it's a very feeling sign. It's very protective, right? But, you got to remember that you don't get also overwhelmed, because cancers need to feel safe. So it's also, I really want to mention, it's very good. You have to have really good, healthy psychic boundaries during this eclipse as well. Because traditionally, that's why there was always my allergies are bothering me. All the things about not going out, not, being too exposed to the eclipse traditionally, right? And,
right.
Yeah. So also it could be very fertile for cancers again. So, maybe you want to move. The ninth house is about movement, travel. Where's your dream home? I always wanted to take a big trip. This would be a good time to plan that, right? Yeah. So for Leos, I'm going to just continue on here. For Leos, it's in the 8th house, which is the house of inheritance. So Leos might inherit money. It's a sign of finances. So, Pisces is a sign of debt. I haven't mentioned this yet. Debt. So any place you've got debt, you've really got to learn to take care of this now. You can't just keep spending endlessly. You may have to tighten the belt there a little bit. That's the Virgo. They like to be on budgets. They don't like to waste money. So that could be a good thing for Leos, but it also opens up their mystic side. 8th house is teaching mysticism, again, dreaming. It's Scorpio-like, so major change in your ego. Pisces is about no ego. Maybe for a lot of Pisces who are invested too much in their ego and it's all about me, well, maybe that doesn't work anymore. You got to be humble. You're just part of the oneness. You are the queen or king in your own, mind and your own sense of self, but you're still part of the bigger picture. So how can you contribute money? Maybe it's about giving money to some, cause or a creative thing or a charity or art or buying art. It's about investment. You buy art, you buy beautiful things, you buy peaceful things. Maybe you decide I have to live in a more peaceful environment. I need to be somewhere where I'm calm, like you said, I need to be in an environment where I feel, I can let my hair down, I can just be at oneness, that's what I need.
So do you think that this energy could also, maybe not inheritance, but maybe a windfall?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I would definitely buy the lottery tickets.
I bought tickets.
Buy the lottery tickets, why not, I mean, the 8, we're still in a number 8 year here. It's a symbol of infinity, so it's kind of karmic for Leos,
I never buy tickets, but someone told me to buy tickets. So I bought them, and I'm going to, I'll check them later. I'll let you know. Okay,
there you go. So so very much a letting go also for Leo. If there's, things that have come in a balance, there's some things you can't control. You know what I mean? It's like let it go, Yeah. So that's good. It's a lot of change, it could be a good time to do a lot of deep soul work, therapy. 8th house has to do with psychology. If there's issues that you haven't worked on, this is a good time to do it, as well. Take advantage of this time, right? With those supporting planets. This is a major, major turning point. You've got to see how important it is, right? So Uranus is also pressuring people born in late Leo, right?
What is it doing?
Well, it's pressuring, you know what I mean? People born in late Leo, Uranus, you gotta change, you gotta move with the times, can't keep doing the same old show, you know what I mean? Like Leo's the showman, right? Can't keep going through the same dramas anymore, right?
Yeah, that's interesting you say that but I've been thinking, how am I going to avoid certain situations when my mom moves back?
Oh, okay.
So those are the dramas you're talking about.
Yes, the dramas, you know, that's a Leo thing, right? And everybody's got it somewhere, of course, right? You know, Leo is the fifth house, traditionally the fifth sign, right? All right, so I just want to keep moving on here, Tamara. So Virgo, because Virgo, the sun is there, it's like it is the opposite, right? So you're going to be pulled out into from your comfortable, you know, earthy, grounded, you know, into the mystical realm, and you really need that to bring balance, right? So again, Virgos, really watch your dreams, but watch your health. Now, this is kind of, there's a health. Whoops, are you okay?
Sorry about that.
What happened?
I have to plug in. My phone's going to die, so I just have to plug it in. Go ahead.
Okay. So, so for Virgo and Pisces and for all the signs, you know, there's an influence of your health. And your dreams can sometimes tell you what's going on with your body. So really be aware of that. Or if your intuition says, oh, there's something going on here, maybe it's time to go to visit your naturopath, your doctor, or, you know, whatever you use, right, to help yourself get healthy. Or to really take, you know, to look at where I need to cleanse myself. Maybe I am a workaholic, or maybe I'm, you know, sacrificing myself, or I don't want to be the martyr anymore. That's Pisces. You know, I don't want to be the scapegoat. I'm tired of that. You know, this is like, okay, I'm calling it. That's the end of that, you know. So a big shift in terms of how you work in the world, your own self-concept, you know. Pisces, Virgo has to do with community, pets. Your pets are very much in what's what?
What does Pisces have to say that again about pets?
Pets. The Virgo is associated with pets or domestic animals, but it's sort of come down as pets. So, you know, your animal will always kind of mirror what's really going on, you know, because they're very sensitive, a dog or especially a cat, you know what I mean? Pay attention to how they're acting, you know what I mean? And pay attention to the things that you wouldn't normally notice. You know, it's like subtle. Pisces is very subtle. So pay attention to the synchronicities, the signs, you know, how, you know, spirit people who passed on these, or leave a white feather or a dime or a penny or whatever it is. If you want to commune with your deceased, your ancestors, that's Pisces realm. You know, I want to connect with my ancestors. I want to feel them. I want them to help me. I want them to protect me. I want them to help guide me. So this is also a really good time to tune into that energy. Right? So the unseen, the hidden, you know, and also spiritual healing. So sound, you know, Pisces is sound healing. So toning, you just tone. Vowels would be very good to do, or a tuning fork, right? Or, you know.
Yes, question though. So as far as Virgo's concerned, I typically find the Virgo to be very practical, to be very organized and analytical, not necessarily fully organized, but somewhat organized and analytical. And being a Virgo ascendant, I can say that. I know this to be true of me.
Right.
So would you say that this energy that's coming in is going to ask the Virgo to take a better look at the spiritual evolution of itself?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how I just heard.
Virgo, I mean, every sign always implies the opposite. So
exactly, right?
Pisces is always your shadow side. You know, the spiritual, the intangible realm is always where you need to learn from. That's always what you're kind of in denial of, or you're afraid of, or, you know what I mean? But it's there. It is connected, right? Whether you're conscious of it or not. Like Pisces does rule the unconscious. So it's like the wealth, I call it the treasure chest. Everything that motivates us is in the unconscious. So that's karma, our past lives. This is a good time to do karmic cleansing, you know, shamanic cleansing, soul retrieval. All of this is relevant to this eclipse. So like
I want to answer ASF. It's one of the followers here. What we're talking about is the energy of the eclipse season. Right now we're discussing the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse and how it's affecting each sign over the next month. Hope that's helpful. Okay. So we are talking about, we were just finishing up Virgo.
Right.
Was there anything else you wanted to share about that before we move on?
Yeah, so Virgo, the eclipse is in their seventh house of relationships. So you will see your significant other could be ghosting, disappearing, addictions. You realize they have addictions. You can realize you're in a codependent relationship, or it could be your dream, your soulmate. That's Pisces. I want to find my soulmate. I just want to talk to them telepathically. I don't even have to want to explain it in the real world, right? So really a lot of psychic connections, telepathic connections, emotional, compassionate, healthy boundaries, but really opening up to feel. It's not just what's tangible, it's also that feeling, sensing realm that Virgo needs to go into. So relating to the world in a more compassionate way and being more compassionate with themselves, because Virgos are their own worst enemy because they're so critical and they're so self-critical. So this is where you go, what is this serving? That I'm so hard on myself. Where does this belief?
I always say, my son says I'm hard on myself, but right. I say I'm realistic.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have to look at that one. Yeah, that could be, is that really true? Where is this idea coming from? Yeah, technically, objectively, everything that's tangible is realistic, right? But you want to look at, is this really true, or where is this coming from, or is this something from my childhood, something from past lives where I have to feel like I'm worked so hard to prove I'm worthy? You know what I mean? It's like you have to keep going back, right? Of course, yeah, physical is practical, but the spiritual is also practical. This is what we do. So
I know, and so Virgo's going to get a little dose of the Piscean vibe, and it will soften up that analyzing stuff and recognize its spiritual side a little more. So over the next month,
right? So not in your head, more in your feelings, right? More in your heart, right?
So the next sign is Libra. And so you're saying that it will be found in the sixth house here.
Right. So Libra, you really do have to look at your health. Sixth house is the sign of work. That's Virgo, traditionally the sign of work. Am I doing what I really love to do? Is it feeding me? Do I feel whole? Do I feel like I'm giving back? Like Pisces is all about, I need to feel connected. I need to feel that what I'm doing is kind of, helping the world. So for Libra, am I doing that? Is my work feel like what I want to do? Is it creative? Libra is ruled by Venus, so they are creative. So, and Pisces is also creative sign. So maybe you need to look for new work that fulfills you more on a spiritual level, and also your health, how out of balance you are with your health routine, with what you're eating, with what you're accepting yourself to, because everything, Pisces is very sensitive. So, paying attention to, am I overexposed to EMFs from my phone, from my computer? You know what I mean? Like the food I eat, the vibrations I'm around. Pisces is vibration. They talk about raising your vibration. Well, Libras, maybe you need to raise your vibration now and be more sensitive to the very subtle things, And again, healing through sound, again, feeding your body, it's nutrition. Virgo is nutrition, so changing your diet, eating healthier. It's the harvest, Virgo, organic as much as possible, natural herbs, that's what witches were. They were herbalists traditionally, So using that kind of energy.
You see the Libra being more grounded as opposed to airy, being more grounded and utilizing the earthy vibrations overall in their life.
Well, it's a combination of both, right? So the earthy, but the spiritual, or the earthy and the creative. Like Libras are creative types, right? So, and again, I think it's about addictions. They can be addicted to love. And this is Pisces. Why do I have to always be in a partnership? I mean, that is a Libra archetype, of course, right? That's like, maybe this is not healthy. Maybe I'm projecting all of this stuff onto this person. That's not who they are. So there could be some, like, oh my God, awakenings, like
realizations. Yep. Yeah. I'm gonna concur. I have one of my besties is a Libra, and I've had to say, hey, check yourself,
right?
Because she's not. And what you just said is exactly where she's going with this.
Right. Yeah, and I've seen it coming up in readings with people lately. You think are you suspecting this person is cheating on you? It's like, well, trust your intuition, that's very much what it's about. I think people always know. I always find it hard. People say, I had no clue, right? And I'm like, because you're projecting what you want to see.
Well, and that's the other thing, though, Tara. Sometimes it isn't happening as they thought. And it's unresolved issues that they're carrying into the new relationship or whatever. And they're seeing things that aren't happening and creating them.
Yes. So that's illusion. That's Pisces, illusion, delusion, projection. Because it's
I'm witnessing it. I'm witnessing it in a lot of people and the more airy they are, the worse they are.
Right. The more airy?
The more air sign they are.
Air sign they are. Okay.
Pisces, Aquarius, Gemini. I do find that sometimes they, when this kind of energy can come in, if they can't ground it, it gets out of control.
Right.
Just depends on the person, really, right?
Yeah, but you see, there's this big force going on. You see what I mean? So I'm finding it's coming up too. You know what I mean? And people kind of know it. It's like, you can't really avoid it. You know what I mean?
No, you can't.
Do it. Otherwise you're going to just keep being stuck there. Do you really want that? You have a choice.
I actually thought maybe I should put some foil inside my witch's hat when Mercury retrograde comes along.
I know. My husband said that. I think you just should start wearing a foil hat. And I went, that's okay. Or put one underneath here, right?
It's true. Because sometimes the planets just bully me. Mercury bullies me.
Well, where's your Mercury?
Well, because I'm a Virgo ascendant, and Mercury's in Cancer.
Right.
Mercury's in Cancer, and it's all I know is it just bullies me. I don't want to say it any other way. Fact is, I have dreamt about slingshotting Mercury out of the solar system.
So Mercury retrograde is harder on you. Mercury retrograde is harder on Virgos and Geminis, right?
It's just so tough on me. You don't even know.
Right. And what house is it in?
Virgo's in Aries.
No, Virgo can't be in Aries. What house is Mercury in? Cancer.
Oh, Mercury. My Virgo ascendant is in the first house. That's why I said Aries. Just so you know.
Oh, so, I see. Okay, yeah, this is where you can't conflate the first house with always Aries, okay? Because it's different, right? Yeah. And and the first house is always the ascendant, right? So that's
and it's Mars vibration as opposed to just Aries. I understand what you're saying.
Right. So if you're Virgo rising, then Mercury rules your ascendant, and where Mercury is, you said Mercury's in Cancer, right? So then technically, if you have Virgo rising, it would be, you go backwards. Leo, it's 2 signs back, right? So they're in a harmonious, like they're water and earth. So elementally, they're harmonious, right? Mercury in Cancer is kind of like you think through your emotions, right? So Mercury is and it's a dualistic sign. But wherever sign it's in, if it's in Cancer, then you're thinking, you analyze through feeling. Your emotions.
I do, actually.
And water.
Everything I do, I have to feel it.
Yeah, so water, all the water signs are feeling signs. That's what this eclipse is about, right? It's getting into your feelings, right?
It doesn't feel right, I won't do it. If it feels right, I do it.
Right.
I don't even need a whole bunch of information. I just go by my feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And intuition is tied to the feelings. Right? Yeah.
Works for me. Okay, so the next sign.
Scorpio. Okay, so Scorpio, the lunar eclipse in Pisces is in your 5th house. And the 5th house is a good house. It's a very positive house. It's traditionally the house of the heart. It's Leo-ish, Leo overall. Sign of the heart, so it's about giving. It's about being generous, charitable. It's creative. It's love affairs. Traditionally, it's children. It's willpower. So for Scorpio, it could be very cathartic. Remember, Scorpio is also a water sign, right? So really a big, my intuition is like it's a big dam bursting for them, right? It's a big, all things that you've been holding back, that's been holding back your creativity, you're expressing yourself out in the world. Remember, Leo is like, it's the sun, right? And Scorpio is kind of like hidden. They don't want to be out there, So that's that Leo-ish energy. So Scorpios need to own their heart power, right? And their willpower and bring it out into the world and be generous, because you can afford to do that now. So it could be a ton of wealth coming to them, spiritual wealth, creative wealth. I would say working with children would be a good thing. Also working with their inner child healing.
What about their inner bitch?
Their inner bitch.
Because they got that. I
Well,
can tell you that.
I mean, Scorpios are very controlling, you know. The fifth house is much lighter in general, like for to have Pisces there. You got to remember it's a harmonious element. So it shifts from the death. You got to remember that all the water signs, Cancer is the mother, it's the womb. Scorpio is the death, or the kind of tied to menstrual blood, right? So it's that sense of death and rebirth, constant change, psychological, it's the soul. And then Pisces is where you come back to source.
Right.
So if Scorpios have been feeling like they're not connected, they're disconnected, I've lost myself, that's Pisces, everybody's in the fog. I start to find myself again. I start to remember who I am. I start to connect with my soul purpose. You know, so I think that's a very, very positive thing. You know, and that can bring them, you know, Pluto rules Scorpio. You got to remember this as well. Pluto rules Scorpio, so it's soul riches. You know, Pluto's the lord of the underworld. So Pluto right now is really helping Scorpios to integrate that and seeing it all together. Pluto with the lunar eclipse, with Uranus there, big change time, you know. Scorpios like change, you know. They're run by their soul.
Do you think that Pluto in Capricorn is going to help them?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So this would be a big finalization time for them from now until November 19th. You know, get it all done. You know, like really, and do it very creatively with like being an adept. And the adept is like a magician. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I kind of see this as this is going to bring them onto stages.
Yeah.
This will bring them some notoriety that they've been seeking, hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
And it will make them money. Whatever that is, it's going to bring in a security, a financial.
Yeah, I think it's going to bring them money too. You know, so out of the shadows, whatever hidden talents you've been hiding back there, it's time to take them out onto the stage, right? Yeah.
So would you say this also? Do you believe that what we're saying also affects the sun? I mean, the moon and ascendants. If you like,
oh, absolutely, yes.
So they could listen. People could listen to whatever the sun, moon, and ascendant, and listen to what you're saying, listen to what we're sharing here, and apply it, all of that.
Yeah, you could apply it to every planet if you want. You could apply it to where your Venus is, right? And how the eclipse is affecting your Venus, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So however you want. But for Scorpio, I feel like they're going to be shining. Like, the fifth house is like the sun. You know, they come out of the dark shadows into the sunlight. So the shadow stuff can be brought into the light so you can feel it. Pluto at the last degree of Capricorn. You'll really do the last 9 yards of the soul work now so you can come out the other side. Oops. Oh. Oh, are you there, Tamara?
Did you lose me?
Yep, I did. Okay.
I am. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep. Okay. Just lost you there.
Can you see me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can. It just froze for
I
a
don't
minute.
know why.
Okay. Just one of those things.
Okay.
We're okay now? Okay, so let's get on to Sagittarius. So for Sagittarius, the lunar eclipse is in your fourth house, which is the house of the deepest parts of the self. So again, lots of therapy, lots of inner child work, lots of crying. I'm going to say there's lots of crying. Tears are good. You know, let all the sadness, the grief. Can you still hear me, Tamara?
Yes.
Are you there? Okay. Lots of grief work, lots of, you know, anything that you've been holding back, you know, because Pisces will reveal. You got to remember, it's like the dark side of the moon, you know, what's been hidden coming out, right? So, you know, and again, being very creative, working from your home, you know, redesigning your home, making your home a safe spiritual place where you feel I'm protected here. You know, this is my source. I'm at source. Again, charitable work. Working with addictions, things that maybe you were in denial of. Also, you can see family members. It's working out things with family members. So it could be forgiveness for a lot of childhood issues, whether it's your mother, the fourth house is traditionally your mother's, you know, your childhood. Also connecting with your ancestors from your dreams and your intuition, you know, calling upon them, really feeling them, being there with you, you know. I think that would be really good for Sagittarius, right? So the fourth house
see this being, I see this being also a time when I can sort of see this as, let's say, a Sagittarian mother who has a teenage daughter. I think that with all this energy in there, I can see some stuff brought to the surface, some opportunities for healing, but doesn't mean it won't be difficult.
No, I mean, Pisces will bring up a lot of old emotional stuff that hasn't been worked out. And yeah, that can be difficult, but ultimately it's cleansing. It's cleansing, healing. I think it's a very healing energy. It's about.
I agree. I just see that it's going to be a little harder for Sagittarian, let's say, than Gemini.
Well, yes, because Jupiter's in Gemini, right? But technically, Jupiter is not strong in Gemini because it's opposite the sign it rules. So technically, Jupiter's not as strong as it could be. Jupiter's going to be better next year when Jupiter enters Cancer, because it's considered to be exalted. Planets get these kind of brownie points for being in different signs. So when Jupiter enters Cancer from June 2025, it's really good, okay? So again, you want to think about that for water signs, Cancers, Scorpio, Pisces. Jupiter is going to be giving you big benefits next year.
Yeah.
So again, you want to wash the decks. You know what I mean? You want to have a clean space, right?
Well, I guess Sagittarian could be looking forward to healing old rifts, especially when it comes to your family, your children.
And especially your mother, as the fourth house is tradition.
Mother, yeah. I was seeing being a mother. Sorry.
Yeah, being a mother. Yeah. So all of that, and really kind of going back to that womb space, and needing that sense of safety, like that's Pisces. It is the cosmic womb, right? So always feeling that sense of I'm never alone. Like you're always feeling that sense of being held so tight and so unconditionally loved. Pisces is a sign of mental illness, and a lot of why this is being talked about more is Neptune going through Pisces. Neptune bringing those things that have been hidden or kind of abused or drugged. They used to just drug people to suppress it. Now it's coming out. It's more healthy to talk about it. Everything. It's always better to get it out. You know what I mean? Anything suppressed is not good.
Exactly.
That's not good energy.
So they're going to let it out.
Let it all out. For Sagittarius, they dream, because remember, Jupiter is your ruling planet here and it rules Pisces. Dreaming about moving. Where is your dream home? That would be really important for a Sagittarius.
Okay, so you've got a lot of Sagittarius in your tarot.
Yes, I have a lot of Sagittarius.
So how do you think this will affect you?
Well, it is in my fourth house, it could be time for us to move on, and I want to be near water. And I reminded my husband that when I was 12, when I started to have my big spiritual experiences, I had a dream about this man with blue eyes. And I remember saying very distinctly in the dream, we have to go live on an island and forget everything that we've been taught. Now, I was 12 years old when I had that. I went looking for those blue eyes, and it was him. And I recognized those blue eyes, right? So I just actually told him about this yesterday. I'm going, hey, come on, I got to get back to this was my original intention here. So those kinds of things where you would remember a kind of from your childhood a spiritual thing that, recall that, kind of sit with going, hey, I kind of knew this a long time ago. And yeah, you get lost in everybody can, or we're busy, or we've just got stuff, we're living our lives. Hey, but what did I really want to do? What was my original spiritual intention? Remember, Sagittarians are teachers. They came here to be spiritual teachers, and inspirers and the spiritual cheerleaders, and humor. Okay, so humor, maybe don't take things so seriously, Sag, like we got to lighten up about this, make people laugh about our calamities, the human comedy, right? And really bring that kind of lightness, into it, right? Like, don't take it all so seriously. It's not the end of the world. Like, we're all infinite beings. Like, hello, And really, Pisces is
exactly right.
What?
I said, really, you're right, exactly.
Yeah. A detachment, Like, no matter what happens, what's so terrible? It's like being the fool in the tarot. That's a symbol of enlightenment, right? Oh, I've been through a million lifetimes. I've experienced everything. Like, so what's the worst that could happen? You know what I mean? I'm just going to go through this experience to see what it's like. That's my...
Well, I guess we have to wait till we listen to Capricorn to see
Okay.
how he will respond to you.
All right. So Capricorn, third house. So this is about thinking, analysis, communication, siblings, right? Short travels. That's all third house kind of stuff. So it's like addictions. I think it's about family addictions. A lot of this, and it kind of have setting some boundaries, and also communicating a much more emotional. Capricorns are emotional. I know they have the reputation of being not emotional, but their traditional symbol is the sea goat. The sea goat. So it's that earthy. I'm going to climb the mountain, but I'm also really connected to the depths of the water, the oceans, the unconscious, right? So bringing out that spiritual compassion. Like I have a soft side. I'm not that big, meaty, hard, yes, I'm going to get the job done, but I also have feelings here, and so bringing out their feelings and allowing themselves to be more intimate in relationships, I would say. Also, it feels like it's more creative for them, or giving back to charity. If you're a big business person, becoming more philanthropic. I want my legacy to be that I cared. I wasn't just this materialistic person. It's having a sense that there's something bigger, greater than just the material world, right? So it could be a big kind of an epiphany for Capricorns, to realize that. And also issues with, forgiveness. Lots of people get into family feuds. It's not good for us to carry those resentments, just let go, and sometimes your family is too toxic. And it's better for my health to let it go,
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I think it could be very creative for Capricorns if you work in a creative field, an ideas field. Again, this could be a big brainstorming, a big breakthrough, or if you've always wanted to write a book or to launch something where you're teaching other people in a sense. I think this would be a good thing. Or, just learn your creative tools.
I think this time might help them make some changes that they've been kind of wondering had they made these changes before what happened. So this might be a really good time. I find that earth signs are often the ones that have the harder time moving.
Right.
Moving energy, moving from one place to another, for instance.
Yes. But I think especially for those Capricorns born in the last few days, I would say if you're born in the last 5 days of Capricorn, again, this eclipse will help you. I mean, it may feel like the ground you're sitting on is like getting flooded. There's nothing solid. So that can be a little scary for Capricorn. But really the planets are really helping. Uranus is helping them to make radical changes in their lives and their careers. A lot of people are going, I don't want to be part of the rat race. I don't want to live my life that way anymore. Even Capricorns are saying that, right?
Is your partner closer to that part?
No, he's born earlier. He went through that already. But this eclipse, is affecting his Venus, so his art career. So he's going to get his art career started again, and it's good for, Pisces rules film, photography, any creative arts, right? So again, Capricorn integrating that, or that becoming their tools, kind of, you know what I mean? Things they can use, right? Yeah. So letting go. Capricorns can be very stubborn, they're workaholics. Maybe I don't have to work so hard. Maybe I can relax a bit, maybe I can enjoy life a little bit more, right? They're very hard.
Go be a sea goat. Yeah, go be a sea goat.
Sea goats, go be by the ocean, for a while, right? Really get into that, right?
That would help the Sagittarius a lot, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Be a sea goat, get on the ocean. Yeah, go for a cruise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not very hygienic, but get on the water somewhere, as much as you can, and connect with that emotional side, that secret. Okay, so Aquarius, the eclipse is in your second house. The second house is usually your self-esteem, your tools, your resources, the income. So for Aquarius, you need to kind of figure out, again, how your income can be more creative, because they tend to be kind of nerdy, traditionally technical, scientific, engineering, analytical. I mean, it's not like they don't feel. Of course they do, but they have to suppress their feelings to do a very objective job. That's the thing about air, it's objective. Whereas, we're talking about, you always think through your feelings, and Aquarius will, there's no feelings, right? Because they need to just be technical, scientific, right? So for Aquarius, it's like integrating more sensitive, more subtle, really being aware, really opening your consciousness. So things that would, I would say, awaken your senses would be really good, like, massages that are like aromatherapy, getting yourself in touch with your body and your emotions, because remember, it's Virgo Pisces. Massages or oil, how they do traditional massages with oil and stuff like that. Or so also getting your hands on some tools that, again, your job has to be human. The thing about Aquarius is it's a dual sign. So part of it, lots of people want to be robots. They want to be, put their consciousness in the cloud, think they're going to be immortal, right? They're not, they're kind of transhuman, right? And a lot of them are going to want that. But the other side of Aquarius is like collective humanity, like, the societies that work together. So you've got to kind of want to investigate that. Like, where can I envision or create something new where I'm not just feeling so cut off and lonely, but I also connect to other people, right?
Would you think this would help them be more sentimental, more nostalgic?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, water is always that feeling realm, more nostalgic. Nostalgia is a Cancerian thing traditionally, right? Sentimental, right?
Because it's in the second house.
But the second house becomes your currency. See, it's value, like money.
But I'm thinking their currency could be emotional.
Right. Well, for sure. Mm-hmm. Your emotional currency, your emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence would be the right word. Okay.
And this is why I think it's going to stimulate the sentimental, nostalgic side of them.
Okay. Well, I think they're going to realize that emotional intelligence is just as valuable as, kind of practical scientific tools.
Exactly.
That would be a nice balance, right, for Aquarius to realize that. And it might be a bit of a shock. Aquarius is fixed, so they don't really like change. They get into their ideas. So they're going to have to open their minds, right, to integrating, there's another side of this, right? It's not really working. It's not really complete unless that intuitive, that creative side is there. That healing side is there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think for Aquarians, it can be more money, right? For them as well, because it's the second house. And I think it's like learning new things. The second house is like, I need to acquire a new tool. So maybe I need to investigate, how does this spiritual realm, how can it work for me? And they come on as naysayers, which can be a good thing. But through experimenting, Aquarians like to, things that are different. So maybe things that are still considered, alternative or whatever, that might really help you to get more balance, right? To exploring kind of something outside of the box, really outside of the box, outside of the comfort zone of Aquarius. What does that look like? Because they're outside of the box anyway. So get more outside of the box, and see what's out there.
We're gonna have to put a tether on them so they don't get too far away.
Unbox yourself, Aquarius.
Okay, so on to Pisces.
Okay, so Pisces, this eclipse is in your first house. So it is really about your owning your true spiritual nature. Don't hide it. You have a gift. You came here to serve the world, to bring people together, to use your vision, your dreams, and to work with your addictions and to be compassionate with yourself, to forgive, to take up any kind of creative means, whether it's dancing or singing or toning or whatever it is you want to do, give to charities, and really don't hide the shadows. That 12th house, brings you into the first house, which is myself. Here I am, world. I am, the traditional God saying, I am that I am. Pisces has to go from, well, I'm not just in the unconscious where nobody sees me. I have to come into the world. Right? I have to let the world know what my gifts are, my creativity, what I've been hiding in the shadows, how I can help people, because I know what it means to be.
This time might help the Piscean to come out of their shell.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, right. Like all water signs, Cancer is the crab. I guess there are different kinds of. Scorpio has a shell, you know what I mean, in a way. And Pisces, are they clam shells, whatever, oyster shells, whatever it is. Well, they have pearls, right? Also, if you want to work with gemstones, pearls, wear pearls if you have them, to bring in that energy. Also, any kind of clear stones or aquamarine, citrine, not citrine, sorry.
Amethyst.
Amethyst, right. Work with those stones as well, and work with your dreams. So for Pisces, if they've been keeping dream journals, because I know they're usually always very psychic, but I meet a lot of them who say they don't remember their dreams, and I'm going, nah, that's BS. You always dream, you just don't remember it. And you have to work on recalling your dreams. So before you go to sleep at night, you tell yourself, I will be awake in my dreams. I will remember my dreams. And then it takes practice. There is dream yoga, you know. And so again, for Pisces, you have to balance being in the spiritual, emotional world with the being in the physical body, right? So then grounding your physicality in the real, right? The tangible, right? Bringing those beautiful gifts. It's so you've always wanted to make a film or do something to help people uplift humanity. You know, again, imagine, like the song Imagine by John Lennon. That is such a Pisces kind of song, you know. You know, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. So this is where Pisces really needs to stand up and go, hey, I'm a dreamer. We got to work together to change the collective dream of the world.
Exactly.
So, and no more wars. And, you know, how do we resolve this? You know, all the religions, you know, that's Pisces rules religions, right? Like, and Jupiter does too. So where do we find the commonality, the oneness? So we stop fighting over this, you know, kind of ideas. It's just still an idea, right? So I think for Pisces, it's really good for them, especially as, you know, Neptune is at that last degree. It is a kind of karmic ending, you know, getting out of those toxic relationships, stop being the martyr, you know what I mean? Stop, you know, it is about owning your own karma so you can clear that. So you're free, you know, I'm free to be who I am, right? Mm-hmm. And again, that sense of gratitude. Pisces is gratitude. And gratitude is a huge thing that we all need to do. Because we have to be grateful, however small, whatever little things we have, even your health, you know, where you live, you're alive, you know, and gratitude brings in more positive energy. So understanding how our thoughts are feeling, which is really the feeling nature that creates what we want, right? So it would be like kind of incubating that dream, kind of holding it, right? But again, not for yourself. This is a bit of a paradox, but how can I do it to contribute for everybody else? You know, how can and to feel that connection with all the other beings in the world, you know, and connect with them.
I would have thought that by this energy happening in the first house, it would be a good opportunity for them to be reflecting upon themselves, and in that time, they would likely want to be alone a lot.
Right. Well,
so I don't see that. I wouldn't see this as a very social time, but more of an inward shadow work, and also maybe just seeing your gifts, seeing your available gifts, and also asking yourself, if you haven't been using them, why not?
Right.
Yeah. And taking a good look at yourself and saying, okay, these are my gifts. I have a responsibility to offer them to the community.
Right.
How will I do
that? So that's Saturn, Pisces. You know, I have to own my gifts, right? So yeah, it's more about identifying yourself, right? It's not just about being out in the world. It's like identify myself as a spiritual being, a creative being, a dreamer. You know what I mean? Someone who connects people. You know, something that brings art into the world, that helps people to feel that sense, or brings charity into the world. You know, who's humble. You know, you need more humility in a way, but not that you hide yourself away. You know what I mean? Like I do.
I know exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
People are too egotistical, or they take everything too personal. You know, Pisces is kind of transpersonal. You know, it's always somebody. You know, I think Don Miguel Ruiz said, you know, it's always whatever somebody's accusing you of, it's always their stuff. You know, the projections, that's your projection. You know, that has nothing to do with me, right? So really a lot of work so that you can strengthen yourself, so you're not subject. Pisces is always subject to everything that comes at them. You're going to be a mess, right? And so be careful about the news you listen to. Be careful about the people you surround yourself with, you know, and really have a stronger sense of yourself so you can own your place in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
So overall, would you say this time is tuning into your emotional state, where you stand in the world, what you think of yourself, how you feel about certain causes or things that are happening in the world, and what action, maybe not action in this moment, but what action you might put to the situation when the solar eclipse comes along.
Right. Well, the solar eclipse on Equinox is in Libra. So that's a different energy. We're going to see, we're just starting to go into the Pisces Virgo. This is like the beginning. We're still finishing out the Aries Libra. So it's going to be a different solar eclipse is manifesting in the physical world. It's what's visible, right? Pisces, all lunar eclipses are the invisible, internal, receptive, it's behind the scenes, being unconscious. So because it's going to be in Libra, that's going to be again about balancing what's out of balance, justice, relationships, reevaluating those things, right? Again, beauty, it has to do with beauty as well, ruled by Venus. So it's going to be a different energy, right? So you got to remember that the October one is the balance of the April, the 8th one. So that was in Aries. They're not totally exactly opposite, but elementally they are. So what was started in April under that solar eclipse, you get to balance it out now and see how far you've come in the last 6 months. Right?
And with Mabon, or the fall equinox coming up, it's going to inspire us to move towards balancing ourselves and utilizing the energies of what's coming into whatever house. That house that it comes into is probably what we're going to use to balance everything.
So all of the attributes of that house is how you personally are going to do it. People are going, generally it's Pisces for everybody. Everybody's got Pisces somewhere. And even if you don't have planets in Pisces or anything in Pisces, you look at where that is in your astrology chart. The other thing I want to mention is Libra is an air sign. Again, you see, we're moving from the water, from the emotional, into that airy, detached information. That's the irony about Libra. It's all about traditionally marriage and relationships, but it is detached. It's like, let's think about the relationship. Let's talk about it. Let's analyze it. You know what I mean? So it's
that could be like rationalizing as opposed to emotionalizing.
Yeah, exactly. So
this could be someone who let's say an older woman going out with a younger man, and instead of letting the relationship actually happen, they talk it through, think it through before they do it.
Right. Yeah. Is this a good idea?
As an example.
Is this a good idea? A Pisces kind of illusion, projection, there's my soulmate, you know what I mean? Is this real?
Yes.
Kind of what's really going on here, So that's a nice.
How come my soulmate's 15 years younger than me? I don't think I like that, and so on, or whatever. Yeah. I know. I've been seeing that kind of weird.
Libra is the sign of karma, right? It's like justice. That's karmic justice. So it doesn't really matter how old you are on a karmic level. And that's where society kind of judges it. But you know what? It can work, right? If you're not into the projection of what, you think this person is, you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
You have to hear it. You have to, discuss it. It's like, I need to know, right? And Libra's a knowledge sign, Oh, I lost you? Oh, Tamara? Now, okay.
I don't know what's going on, but it's past the time that you wanted to sit with me.
Yeah.
So we wrap it up and do this again another time.
Yes. So I want to wish everybody a wonderful Pisces lunar eclipse wherever you are in the world. If you want to come to my workshop on the eclipse on September 17th, you would get in touch with me through my website at tarottarot.com. And I'm going to do a channeled guided meditation like I do, and I'm going to talk in more detail about these eclipses, and it kind of downloads to me as we get closer to it. You know what I mean?
You're going to do it on Zoom. Why don't you air it on TikTok live? Why don't you do it live at the same time exactly?
Can I do that? I don't even know if I can do that. How do I do that?
With your phone. You would do it with your phone, and with Zoom, you just do it with a computer.
So I can, I'm just going to, do it live. So I'm doing it on Zoom. Oh, okay. That's a good idea. Okay.
If you do that, then everyone who's listening right now will be able to tell us it again if they haven't followed you on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. Good idea, Tara.
Okay, thank you so much, Tara, for coming in, my dear
Well,
friend.
thank you. I always enjoy this, and we have such a nice flow together. And I want to thank everybody who came along. And yeah, so until next time, we're going to do a longer
Yep.
one.
Don't forget to
Another
follow Tara Greene 88.
Right. Okay.
Bye,
Blessings
sweetie.
to everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Tara.
Bye.